The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code NBSGPN, get a $1,000 bonus credit. And welcome everybody to the NBA Gambling Podcast, Force Habit on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I'm your host of episode, Scott Reichel, joined by Lonte Smith. Together, we're going to break down the NBA card for Thursday. Pretty important games remaining in the schedule because we only have about 3 or 2 games left for some teams in the actual season. So you do have a bunch of teams still fighting for actual positioning in the Eastern and Western Conferences. But either way, Lonte, I know we had some interesting results yesterday. Lonte, how's it going with you? How do you enjoy the slate yesterday?
Not bad. It was okay. It's a couple entertaining games, but actually more than a couple. Now that I think about it, with the Barnes game winner. But
yeah, man, there's one game that kind of was the main game to talk about, which you just mentioned. But yes,
yeah, but yeah, overall it's pretty good, and just kind of ready to get through this stretch so we can get to some meaningful basketball without having to go through all kind of like hoops and all that stuff to kind of see who was playing.
Yeah, definitely true. I mean, there were a couple storylines yesterday that were worth talking about. First things first, you had the Raptors destroying my futures parlay because they went over 29.5 wins last night. So damn shame was the only leg that lost, but I'm not surprised. Kind of see it coming from a mile away. In all actuality, though, there were a couple of big games that ended up happening. I'll mention the Warriors game last. You saw the Suns lose again. They officially got eliminated. Congratulations. Enjoy Cancun. Denver won their first game without Coach Malone, as they were able to beat the Kings by 8. Joker triple-double, what else is new? And then he had some quotes after the game suggesting that this team could be dangerous. I'll pump the brakes on that. You beat the Kings. You might want to calm down a little bit. The Kings aren't that good, but still, nice win for Denver. They could have had some, I don't want to say quit with the way the whole Malone situation went down, but they showed up. They won a game they needed to win, and they were able to, I'd say, keep a hold of the 4th seed right now. They are 1 game behind the Lakers for the 3 because the Lakers had the Luka game as he returned back to Dallas and he had 31 points in the first half, scored 45. Anthony Davis had 13. So not exactly what you wanted to see if you're a Mavericks fan, not to mention all of the fire Nico chants that happened in the game. Rightfully so, if we're being honest here. But Luka did a good job, scored 45. They had a tribute. It was emotional. Nice overall game for him. You have any takeaways from that game besides Luka doing great things and AD being invisible for the entire game?
Not really good game plan defensively for JJ on AD. I think he did a really good job of defending him. And I mean, just the Mavericks were in the game. They kind of just let go of the rope.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of got too overwhelmed. Look, they were handling. I think they came back and even took the lead with 4 or 5 minutes left in the 4th quarter, and then they kind of just got avalanche. But overall, man, I thought it was an incredible tribute. Obviously, Luka was emotional, and it was a solid game. I mean, the Lakers got away from them a couple times, and Dallas kind of fought back without any contribution from Clay or AD, really. So they stuck in there. It was a decent game despite the score being what it was. But overall, I think it was a pretty good night for them.
Yeah, also mentioning the Bulls beating the Heat. Nice triple-double there by Giddey. Giddey is so damn good. He had a 28-point triple-double last night. The Heat look like they are, I don't want to say reverting back to what they were before the win streak, but they have not exactly passed the eye test over the last couple games of the season. We'll see how they do to close out the regular season. A pretty important game, though, because Bulls now have the home court in a potential 9-10 matchup that could happen in the play-in. You saw Utah win a game. Congratulations. The Trailblazers sat Avdia and Simons, and you saw Utah win that game 133-126. Filipowski, 30 and 18. So good for him. Sharp at 37 in that game, too. I do want to point out that the Clippers keep winning. They've won 6 in a row, beat the Rockets. They look great in the entire game. I will point out that Şengün didn't play, and you ended up seeing no Dillon Brooks, so it wasn't 100% a lineup for Houston, but it was definitely a great showing by the Clippers. They scored 134. Zubac, first career triple-double. He's been playing really, really well.
Yeah,
You're looking at
definitely.
Harden, who had 35 and 10.
Yep.
Kawhi was fine, 22 and 10. Like, it feels like the Clippers right now are just playing great basketball,
Yeah.
and they are going to be a team that nobody wants to see in the actual bracket. Right now, you have the Nuggets as the 4 and the Clippers as the 5. I'll take Los Angeles in that series,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
we'll see what happens
Absolutely.
there. But
Yep.
do you want to point out, though, the one game that we did not talk about that we kind of have to because it was the most important result of last night? The Warriors, who were favored by 17 points at home. They led by, I believe it was 12 entering the fourth quarter, and they blew it to the Spurs in a game they needed to have. Golden State, if they won out, would have avoided the play-in guaranteed. Now they need Memphis to lose a game to once again regain control of their own destiny. But Harrison Barnes, of all people, hit the game-winning fadeaway three-pointer from the wing to put the Warriors now back in the play-in picture. It's pretty fitting, I guess, that Barnes, it took him a long time to get revenge, but he finally got revenge against the Warriors. You have any thoughts there? Because that's just as bad of a loss as you can get.
I mean, not really. I mean, it is a bad loss, but I mean, I'm not really as high on Golden State as some people are. I really think that they just lack that I guess ancillary piece, the third, fourth option. Like they have to have their third, fourth, and fifth options to play well for them to kind of be in it, unless Steph goes crazy. And we saw Jimmy have 28 last night. He hadn't been scoring the ball like that since he's gotten there. I mean, a couple of times.
Pajemski was honestly carrying offensively.
Yeah, he was. And you see what I think he had 7 points last night. So that just goes to show. And I don't think Steph had a particularly good night as well. That's like 2 of the last 3 nights he hasn't had it. So yeah, I took the Spurs against the spread, but I mean, I just thought that it was too many points, but I didn't see them losing, definitely. But I don't look too much into it. I mean, I just don't think Golden State is as good as people think they are.
Yeah, that's fair. I just feel like when you're looking at the Spurs in the last couple of years, the only thing they've had to their name is being a spoiler, because they were able to beat Denver last year on that Devontae Graham game winner, which completely just altered the seeding for the Western Conference.
It definitely did. Yeah, that's a good point.
And in the grand scheme of things, it did. In hindsight, it really didn't affect Denver that much because Denver would have had home court against the Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals anyway, and they blew Game 7 at home against Minnesota. So in that case, it didn't really matter, but it caused a chain reaction in the Western Conference. And maybe we'll see that again, depending on how the rest of the season shapes up for Golden State. Tough schedule, though, for Memphis. We are going to focus on them in particular because Memphis does have a game against the Timberwolves tonight. Very important game. They also play Denver on the road next game. So if Memphis does lose a game, suddenly Golden State has their destiny again, so has control of it, so it might not matter, but definitely a loss that's worth talking about. I'd say the biggest shock on the actual card yesterday was just the Warriors blowing a double-digit lead at home against a Spurs team that has been feisty, but mostly tanking, so something to keep in mind there. But either way, definitely a fun card. Anything else you want to add from yesterday?
No, I think we hit everything except for Tyler Hero taking that 3 down 5 fast break.
Yeah, I saw a debate on that on Twitter about people arguing, well, you'd be down 3 with like 34 seconds left, and the Bulls would drain clock. You have to get a stop, then the Bulls might foul you, and you start this whole thing. I'm taking the layup. Like, I'm not going to overthink this. Like, I don't know what you think the percentage is for a dribble up 3-point shot with like 30 seconds left when Hero's been playing a ton of minutes. If you want to make an argument that look is like a high 30% look, 38%, something like that, and a layup's 100%, I'm taking the layup. Like, I feel like that's...
People miss free throws all the time.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. You extend the game, kind of. You at least give yourself a shot at it, because you're down 1 possession if you make the layup. If you break the 3-pointer, you lose the game. So I would have taken the layup. I can understand why people would argue the other way, but I'm always a fan of taking 3 points. If you want to hand me a layup and make it a 1-score game with 30 seconds left, then I'm going to take a layup. Just
I think it was like 40, actually.
Yeah, give or take. The point is, though, it was a 2-for-1.
Yeah,
so you would have gotten the ball back without having to foul Chicago to get yourself a shot to tie it. Now, you still need to stop defensively, and Chicago went right down the court, and Buzelis hit a 3 in the corner, and the game was over.
Yeah.
But I still think that the layup was obvious, but people make an argument, well, you're in a bad spot anyway. True. If you were down 6, then I'd probably take the 3. If you're down 5, it's 1 possession if you make a layup or a 3 anyway, so I'm probably taking the layup. So I think we're on the same page there. Down 6, I'm assuming you take the 3 because you're fouling no matter what if you take the layup.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, pretty much.
So there you go. But point is, I see Jam mentioning as well the Spurs ended up beating the Warriors by 40. I mean, the Warriors beat those Spurs by 42 about a week and a half ago,
Yeah, that's a
and
good point.
then you saw them get revenge in Golden State. So that's kind of what made the loss more shocking, was how the last meeting unfolded. But nice win for the Spurs and a really bad loss for Golden State. Before we get into any of the actual games for the Thursday card, quick reminder that we do have a lot of shows giving you Masters picks, because you can check out the Golf Gambling Podcast, the Stephanie Small Show, and the Bottle Line Bombs for all of your Masters picks. Starting off with the first game on the card, you have the Knicks taking on the Pistons. Bit of a weird game, just based on the injury report, because the Knicks are still fighting for the 3 seed. They're in good shape. I believe they're 2 games ahead of Indiana, but they have not officially wrapped it up yet. Now, with that being said, you have some injury news because Josh Hart and Anunoby are both not going to be playing in this game. Same with Mitchell Robinson. For the Pistons, you have a probable tag on Tobias Harris. You have a probable tag on Cunningham, and you also have nobody else really listed besides Isaiah Stewart, who is questionable. We'll see if he ends up playing. Now, for the line, the Pistons are laying 3.5. It was 5.5 overnight, and it has been dropping. The over-under is at 228.5. Now, we know the Knicks have no bench at all, and now they're benching 2 starters because of rest, I guess, for Hart and for Anunoby. But the Pistons have not been good lately. They lost to the Kings. They lost to the Grizzlies at home with no Ja. What's your thoughts on this game? Because I understand why the lines moved in favor of New York,
Yeah.
but I just question how many scoring options they have besides Brunson, Cat, and Bridges. Or do you think that's enough?
Yeah, I mean, to cover the number, I think it may be enough. I mean, obviously, like, they're better at 5.5, but the Pistons just, I mean, they haven't been good. I mean, okay, he's been out of the lineup for the majority of the start of the month, but they even with him before his injury, they weren't really covering numbers. Little coasting, I think, and they were in a bad spot in that Memphis game because they had just clinched the playoff spot. So I kind of can understand that. But
I had Memphis in that game. Don't you worry.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, I don't put that too much on them, but I think the Knicks have to be a little bit hungrier. I know Jalen Brunson should be able to score here rather easily with the high pick and roll with him and Cat. So I'm going to take the Knicks plus a 3.5. I would look under too. I think Knicks can control the pace, kind of slow it down, make it a half-court game. I mean, they pretty much have to because of the lack of depth. Pistons probably just going through the motions. I think they're pretty much locked into that seed. So
the Bucks keep winning. So
yeah, right. So I think they're pretty much locked into that seed. So maybe you can see some guys going out of the lineup pretty early. So I'm gonna take the Knicks plus 3.5.
Yeah, for the update, the Pistons are officially out of the play-in, but they are 2 games behind Milwaukee. So we'll see what happens, but they're down 2 games to Milwaukee with 3 to go. So it's not looking good. And I believe Milwaukee does own the tiebreaker between those teams. So I expect the Pistons to go for it, at least trying to get some, I'd say, momentum heading into the playoff picture. But the issue with the Knicks, though, is that they've not been good against this team. Like, I know it's tough to evaluate because they've not played since January. The road team's actually won every game in the head-to-head, but the Pistons have won each of the last 2. They've been good. The Knicks did win the first game in Detroit by 30, but since then the Pistons have been looking sharp. Cade's been giving this team a lot of problems. I think I like the over in this game, actually, because the Pistons offensively have been a mess, and the Knicks without Hart and without Anunoby. Do you like their defense in general? I feel like people have roasted Cat all year for his lack of rim protection,
I don't.
And I just question if the Knicks will get enough stops in this game. I like the over. But the Pistons recently gave up 127 at home to the Kings, gave up 119 to OKC, 123 to Minnesota. They've not been great defensively, and you could argue the Knicks are missing their best 2 defensive players. I'll go with the over in this game. I agree with you about Brunson. I think he's in line for a massive game. He's killed Detroit over the last couple of years. Cat might have a good game too, but I do think that there should be a higher scoring game. I'll go with the over for this one. You have any thoughts on the total?
No, I mean, I would think, like, I agree with what you're saying about the over. I think the Knicks will probably try to slow it down and make it a half court game. So they'll have to be efficient. Both teams will have to be efficient in the half court. And the thing with the Knicks is their 3-point defense is horrible. So Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley, those guys should be able to feast on the perimeter. But the thing is, I don't know how much they show because this is potentially a matchup for next week. So how much does JB want to show against the Knicks? You know, and maybe some gamesmanship by Tibbs sitting 2 guys. So like it's kind of tricky to kind of handicap because this is literally a matchup that we could see next week.
See, I don't want to sound like too harsh, but I'm going to here. You're saying they might not want to show anything to Detroit. Do we think Thibodeau has the presence of mind to actually do that?
That's a good point.
I'm just asking because
That's a
he
good point.
plays all the starters 40 minutes a
Yeah,
game anyway. So like,
not much. Not
I
much to
find it
hide.
weird he'd have a blind spot to common sense stuff, but he's thinking ahead to a playoff match about a week and a half from now. I just don't really see that being Tibbs, but maybe we'll see. But all I know is I do think it'll be a higher scoring game personally, so I do like the over. Moving on to the next game, you have the Cavs taking on the Pacers. Another weird game with actual motivation because the Cavs clinched the 1 spot already. They have 63 wins. They're 3 games behind OKC. This game means nothing. It's why the Cavs are sitting a lot of key players. As for the Pacers, they are 3 games ahead of Milwaukee, 2 games behind the Knicks. They will be the 4 seed, but it's not official yet. So Indiana is right now laying about 9.5. They have nobody listed on the injury report besides Shepherd. For the Cavs, they are playing this game like it doesn't matter because you have no Mobley, you have no Mitchell, and you have no Garland. Ty Jerome show today for this one. Projected lineup, you have Jerome, Okoro, you have Hunter, you have Wade, and you have Allen. However, the Pacers, we know, mess around a lot. They were down after 3 quarters to the Wizards as like 19-point favorites. They came back and they won the game, but they didn't look good at any point. Do you want to lay 9.5 with Indiana against I'll say a C-minus Cavs squad, or do you want to take the points because you don't trust Indiana to show up for 48 minutes?
Yeah, I'd rather not do either. I think we can see some points here, so I'm going to go over. The side, if I would play a side, it would be first quarter for Pacers, first half, because at the end of the day, if this is a blowout, likely to sit guys again. So you got to kind of play that. Maybe Pacers first half team total over as well. So I'll be looking to play if I was playing the ATS, I would play it early. But I think both teams would be able to score. Even the Cavs, C-minus team should be able to score against the Pacers defense, who's notoriously not that good. They've played better over the past month, since the All-Star break, but still some holes in the defense. I think the Cavs could hit a couple of threes. Pacers 3-point defense, mediocre. So I think we see points here. Mostly scored by the Pacers, but I think the Cavs can be kind of feisty here.
And they play fast.
Late in the game. So we're gonna get that pace, like you said. So I'm gonna go over to 232.5. Sidewise, if you want to go Pacers, Pacers first quarter, Pacers first half.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I like the over. The last meeting was back in January. That was the only game played in Indiana, and that game did lay in 244. They actually played twice over the next about 3-4 days. They play on the 10th and they play on the 13th. So the game definitely is not going to matter on the 13th. But I do expect to see a pretty up and down game. The Cavs defensively might punt it. They did score 135 against the Bulls despite benching some guys last game. Indiana, though, has won 5 in a row. They haven't looked that impressive, but they've been winning. I'll go with the over as well. I see it being a pretty high-scoring game. Before we get into any other games for the Thursday card, quick reminder, they're brought to you by EdgeBoost, because if you've been trying in the past to get a deposit in and it's been blocked by your bank right before the big bet, you ever need cash at 2 a.m. For another try at the tables, but you hit your ATM limit, don't worry, because EdgeBoost is here for you. EdgeBoost has your back. It's first ever bank account built for bettors. They give you fast, reliable access to your funds, make it easier to move money where and when you need it without the delays that can come with traditional banks. You can also use it while getting great cashback rewards. Every time you deposit into a qualified gambling account, you get cash rewards up to 0.5%. All this for no usage fees and no minimum balance. And a reminder, they also have a lot of responsible gambling tools to help you manage your bankroll and make informed decisions. What are you waiting for? Go to EdgeBoost.bet, promo code SGPN, EdgeBoost.bet, promo code SGPN. Sign up for EdgeBoost today. We're also brought to you by MyBookie, because MyBookie.ag is the place to bet in every sport. They have Masters props if you want to bet on some golf, props in every game. They also accept customers on locations. You can also use crypto for lightning fast payouts and easy deposits. You can also have MyBookie.ag with the promo code SGPN for 100% odds match up to 1K. That's promo code SGPN at MyBookie.ag. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finished going through the first couple games on the NBA slate. Time to move on into the next game. You have the Hawks taking on the Nets. Hawks are favored by 13.5. The Nets have nothing to play for. The Hawks are right now actually in a serious sweat because they might be on the verge of punting that 8 seed. They're half a game ahead of the Bulls. They do have one extra game in hand, but we saw Orlando gain a 2.5 game lead over the Hawks. Seems like Orlando will be hosting the 7-8 game no matter what. We'll see which opponent they're going to end up having. But the Hawks need to finish in the 8th spot because there's a difference between losing a play-in game and still being alive and losing one game and going home. So Atlanta doesn't need this win, but I want to point out the Nets have actually been pretty decent against Atlanta so far this season, as the Nets did beat the Hawks about a month ago in Brooklyn by 8. For the injury report for this game, the Hawks are going to be using a lot of players because they need to. You have no Capella, you have no Nance, and you're looking at everyone else being healthy. For the Nets, though, you have no Cam Johnson, no Russell, and no Sharp. So you're going to see Beekman, Johnson, Watford, etc. They were able to beat the Pelicans last game, but we know this Nets team is not very good. I'm going to ask you, though, since the Hawks need this game, but they can't guard anybody, it's a tough spot because you don't want to take an over in the Nets game, but you don't want to take an under in the Hawks game. So where do you want to go for this one?
I'm going to take the 13.5. I mean, Nets have been pretty good against the spread as of late. They're 5-5 ATS over the last 10. They've covered 3 of the last 5. They've been feisty in some of those games. I like some of the pieces that they've been playing. They're still playing hard. I mean, the Hawks obviously are the superior team, but 13.5 is a bunch of points for a team that kind of just wants to get in and get out, be healthy. So if we see them up, pretty big late, or even if it's competitive, which I think it will be competitive late. So, 5 or 6 point game late in the game, I think the Nets have a chance to kind of stay within that 13.5 and not let the Hawks pull away. But if they can keep it between 5 and 6 mid fourth quarter, the Nets should be able to cash that bet. So I'm going to take the Nets plus 13.5. The total is too confusing, like you said. I mean, the Nets don't have a ton of offense. They do play decent defense. The Hawks on the other side don't play any defense, decent offense. So it's kind of a coin toss there. But I guess if I like the Nets, I would go under.
Yeah, I am really torn because the Nets did beat them with a high-scoring game about a month ago. That game did land 236. I think I am going to go over. They give up 119 to Orlando, 134 to Utah. Like, this team can't guard anybody. I feel like Atlanta might win another high-scoring game like they did against Utah, where they score 130, 140 points, and they just hand out 120 because they don't care and they're still going to be coasting. So I'll go with the over, actually. I am going to go back to Beekman steals, though, which Adam's mentioning hit. That was my pick for the last Nets game. Beekman's a good defensive player, at least when it comes to active hands. He's going to play a decent amount of minutes. If you want to actually look at his numbers, he's had 3+ steals in 3 straight games. So it's pretty funny, though. He had 0 points last game, but 3 steals. So something to keep in mind, but I'll go back to that prop. I think Trae Young has a solid game assist-wise, as he always does, but I'll go with the over. Not going to bet this game, though. The Hawks are a joke, but the Nets are actually punting. So I'm going to pass on this one, but I'll go with the over based on the head-to-head history so far this season. Moving on to another matchup. That's a massive spread. You have the Bucks laying 15.5 at home against New Orleans. Totals at 221.5. We saw the Bucks get Bobby Portis back. Had a crazy comeback win against the Timberwolves. They went on a 34-3 run in the fourth quarter, which is insane to think about. But they were able to come back and win. For the injury report, though, you have Giannis who's questionable. You have Pat Connaughton who's questionable. Lillard is out. For the Pelicans, though, you have a bunch of guys who are injured. Of course, Zion is out. You have Murphy who's out for the season. You have McCollum who's out for the season. Olynyk is out. Hawkins is out. Boston's out. Missy's questionable. Brown's questionable. And Alvarado is questionable.
Nobody.
Giannis might not play, so that's kind of going to be the serious storyline of this matchup. He was downgraded to questionable, which is not a good sign. But I'll ask you, if Giannis ends up sitting and you get the Bobby Portis experience in the starting lineup for about 30 minutes, is that enough to cover about 15.5 or 14? Or let me check what the actual updated line is, because that was recent news for Giannis. It's down to actually 13.5, so I'll actually adjust that right now. For the actual total, though, for the adjustment there, total is now at 220.5. So, I mean, the Pelicans lost to the Nets on the road, and the Nets are horrible. Do you think the Bucks are good enough to win without Giannis by 14 points?
Maybe, but I don't want to bet on it. I kind of agree with both of the moves. I think Pelicans will be feisty here. I like the under. I don't think both teams want to score a ton. Pelicans, they literally have a G League roster.
Yep, 100%.
So it's
not even like a good G League roster. It'd be like a middle of the road G League roster.
Yeah, so it's pretty bad. But I mean, 13.5 without Giannis is a ton. Obviously 15.5 was a lot with him. And I think that's still, I mean, if Giannis is worth way more than 2 points, especially without Dame. So I think it's kind of playing the middle in case he does play. So it could drop to maybe like 10.5. I think 10.5 is probably a fair number. So it's kind of hold my nose here and take Pelicans. I don't love it. I like the under more than anything.
Yeah, I think I agree with you about the under. New Orleans, I don't trust offensively. Milwaukee defensively has actually been really good recently. They have allowed less than 108 in 3 straight games in regulation, I think. No, so it was less than 112 in 3 straight. So they've been playing good defense. They've been good at home. They are 25-14 at home. New Orleans, though, is 7-33 on the road. I might take the Bucks anyway. Maybe Pelicans team total under, and you just bank on Milwaukee defensively showing up for a game. But I mean, I think the Pelicans are a joke. Like, I got nothing else to add. I think that Porter should have a monster game. He was solid against Minnesota. I think it's a great matchup for him. I think Portis walks in at 20-15 tonight. So I don't mind Portis PR, for example, for this one. Moving on, though, to the last game on the limited card here for Thursday. The game of the night. You have two teams that actually are trying, thank God. You have the Timberwolves taking on the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are 2.5-point dogs on the road, and the spread is at 31.5. For the injury report, both teams have basically all hands on deck. Minnesota's fully healthy, and for Memphis, you have no Wells, who, of course, is thankfully okay. He did break his wrist, but it was a scary fall. Seems like he is fine in terms of all extremities, but he did break a wrist, so he's going to be out for the rest of the season. But you have Ja, who's playing, Baines playing, etc. So I'm going to ask you for this matchup. Both teams have been pretty unpredictable recently, but Memphis has been playing better basketball recently, so that is a good sign. The meeting this season has been very close. They faced off twice this season. Both games were decided by exactly 2 points, and Memphis did win both games. Lines at 2.5 in favor of Minnesota. I kind of question why Minnesota's favored in this game.
Yeah, I did too.
In Memphis, but I'm going to ask you because I feel like this is a coin flip, and I'll take the 2.5.
Yeah, I think it's a coin flip as well, but I think Memphis has been better. I think they are better right now. I mean, the interesting thing is how they how they shift their defensive tendencies without Jalen Wills, because he usually guards the best player. And they haven't been playing Gigi. They haven't been playing Vince Williams. Lamar Stevens is there as well. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be implemented some more minutes. But they don't have a ton of like perimeter defenders.
No.
Bane is okay. Obviously, Ja's not a defender. I mean, they got Triple J.
Kennard is definitely not a perimeter defender.
Absolutely. So like Jalen Wills was their stopper. Like, he was their defensive he was basically their defensive MVP.
And they didn't guard anybody in the first place anyway. So.
Exactly. So I'm going to be interested to see what they do with Ant and how they kind of shade the defense towards him. What I'm guessing is they'll probably put Bane on him and kind of like bring the double with Jaren because they'll play off of Rudy. So that'll be interesting to see. But I think Memphis is at home. Memphis is notoriously like, obviously they're not under Jenkins anymore, but under Jenkins, they've been money at home outside of the 1 year where, everybody got hurt. So, yeah, I like Memphis to win the game outright. I like the over, too. I think we see a ton of points. Give me the Zach Edey, points and rebounds over. I think he has a really good game. So, yeah, I like the Grizzlies pretty big in this game. I mean, they have no issue beating Midland teams. Timberwolves are a Midland team. They can't beat elite teams. So, I like Memphis and over.
They are 2-0 in the head-to-head, so that does help, but they have not played since January, by the way. I think I agree with you. Memphis is 25-14 at home. They are very good in the FedEx Forum. Minnesota, though, is good on the road, but I've had kind of a weird vibe about Minnesota recently because they had that crazy double overtime win against Denver. Game they probably should have lost. Westbrook gave the game away. So we know Denver's not been playing good basketball. They're missing key players, and Minnesota still almost lost that game. Beat the Nets, good win there. They almost lost to Philly. I don't know what that was, but Edwards hit that three-pointer at the end to ice the game, but that was definitely not easy. And they had that insane 34-3 run that they allowed to Milwaukee in the fourth quarter of the last game. So Minnesota's been kind of messing around lately. Memphis, though, has been good. They've won 3 straight against bad teams, or at least teams that have not been playing good basketball. Beat Miami. They were on a win streak. Nice buzzer beater win by Ja. Beat Detroit. It was a great spot. Still a nice road win without Ja in the lineup. They won that game anyway. And beat Charlotte, who's a fake team, but still a win nonetheless. I think I am going to go with Memphis. I think I like the under in this game, though. I know you mentioned with Wells being out, that could be a problem defensively for this team. But with the stakes at play, I might be blindly looking at unders in games that actually matter. And both teams, of course, are going extra hard because they're trying to avoid the play-in. It is a matchup that's going to matter a lot for seeding because right now the Timberwolves are in the 8th spot. Grizzlies are in the 6th spot, but they are separated by 1 game. So it is a massive deal for both teams. Give me a must-win nature from both teams. Give me the under in this one. Last meeting they ended up landing at 214. I see a pretty physical game here. I think that you're going to see each team look a bit sharper defensively than you expect. Memphis has allowed less than 109 in 3 straight. Minnesota, though, has allowed less than 111 in 3 straight. They've been playing good defense. Give me the under in this one. This total feels a bit high. Thoughts on the total?
Yeah, I like over. I mean, I just think. I mean, I agree. I
I'm
agree.
kind of just banking on the actual like spot itself.
Yeah,
With this
yeah, I
game.
understand that. I just think that the Grizzlies, nobody's been able to slow the Grizzlies down as far as their pace. Now, small sample size, but they've run a lot more conventional offense rather than what they've been running all year. So the numbers kind of are fluctuating. But a lot of the job in ED pick and roll, high pick and roll should be able to work. They should be able to bring Gobert out of the paint. And I mean, I know ED doesn't shoot, but I think he'll be able to drag him out of the paint and force him to play defense. Randall, I think it's a bad matchup for Randall. I would look at taking Randall unders. But I do think the pace will be there. Timberwolves obviously going to shoot a lot of threes. The Grizzlies, they struggle mightily, even with Jalen Wills, in defending the three, especially the drive and kick threes. So I think we can see some points here.
I think the one counterpoint I'd make, though, when it comes to bringing Edie away from the basket and trying to get him to guard somebody, I do think that could be a problem there. We'll see if they go small. We know they're not afraid of using Jaren at the 5 if they need to.
Yeah, they have to, though. They have to.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm kind of fine with that. When you're looking at the other side of the equation with Edie and how, or not Edie, I mean with Gobert, you're going to try to bring him out. Aren't you going to dare Ja to shoot from the outside anyway? Like, aren't you going to live with? Aren't you going to live with that?
That's just how you got to play him. So
that's
you got
kind
to
of
go.
the point. So
yeah, you got to go under on the pick and rolls. Yeah, you're right.
So I don't know if bringing Gobert away from the basket is going to do that much because you kind of want Ja to settle for jump shots the entire game anyway. So I feel like you're kind of playing into the defense's hands, where they're fine with that. Not to mention you have Naz Reid off the bench too. You can give you some versatility if you need to. I like the under, but I think it's mostly just based on the actual stakes at play. I see a close game. This game could go to overtime, honestly. It wouldn't shock me if it was a one-possession game late in the final 10 seconds. So I'll go with a close game, but I am going to go with Memphis at home at plus money. That's going to wrap it up, though, for the actual slate. Small 5-game slate here for Thursday. Anything else you want to add before we move into the lock and dog picks?
Nah, that's it, man. It's pretty straight to the point.
Yep. Before we get into the actual plays for the show, quick reminder, we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, because if you want to play there on a pick'em contest, you can. Play any sport. You can also mix and match for a chance of 100 times your money. You can also sign up for your new account with the promo code SGPN to claim a special getting first time with an offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. That's my book. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code NBA SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, because they are the home of AI-backed picks and props. They are now available for Major League Baseball. They models on the NBA and golf as well. You could also build your own model, which is simple and easy to do. You could also use some of the great deals that Rhythm has for you. Amazing deals going on. 25% off monthly subscriptions with the promo code SGPN25. 50% off annual subscription with the promo code SGPN50. That's RETHMM, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finished going through all the games on the Thursday card. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. Lonte, I'll let you go first. What are your lock and dog picks for the show?
Yeah, man, we can go short and simple, right to the point. I like the Knicks plus 3.5 as the lock. The dog, we just went over in extent. I like the Memphis Grizzlies at home. That should be plus.
I see about plus 110.
Yeah, that's fine. Plus 110. Yeah, plus 112 on FanDuel. Yeah. So, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Okay. So for my lock, I'm going to go with the over in the Pacers and Cavs game. I just see a track meet. You can make the argument both teams don't care. Indiana's still trying to, in theory, make a run at the 3 seed. It's not going to happen, but they can still try, I guess. The Cavs, though, with Jerome, I'm fine with Jerome playing 30-plus minutes as starting point guard. He might score a bunch of points. I think that he's a solid option. Indiana, though, we know plays fast. So does Cleveland. Cleveland benched some guys against Chicago. Still scored about 135. I see points in this game. Give me the over at 232.5 as my lock. For my dog, what do I want to go with for this one? Because they have no props available for the Milwaukee game because Giannis just got downgraded, so I don't really have an option there. Thought about going for Memphis 1-10, but I don't know if I want to do that. I think the Knicks are live, but maybe I'll go with something for Brunson in this game. Because if I'm picking the Knicks to keep it close, I am going with Brunson to have a pretty solid game. I think that's the approach I'm going to take here. Give me Brunson over 29.5 points at plus 164. Faced off 3 times this season. He's had at least 31 points in every meeting. He's played at least 39 minutes in each of the last 2 games against them. You have no Hart. You have no Anunoby. You might see Brunson play 40 in this game. He might score 40, but I think it's a good matchup for him. The Pistons are not great at defending point guards this season in terms of points. Give me Brunson to have a solid game, trying to carry this team to a win. Give me Brunson over 29.5 points at plus 164 as my dog. Now it's time for the underdog entry here. What do you like for your first option? I like Brunson points. Do you want to just use that?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine with me.
Okay. So Brunson points are currently available at, I believe it was 20, it's 26.5 on Underdog. So we'll take that as the first option here. Anything else you like for this
I
one?
like Ant threes higher. Should be like 3.5.
Okay, let me check. Well, we know without Wells, they got defensive problems.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
so Edwards threes in this one are available at 3.5 on Underdog. It's a bit juiced, but we can still take it.
Yeah. I think he has 5 or 6.
And then we needed one more. You want to go Jerome?
Yeah, I like Jerome. I like that Jerome. Yep.
All right, so Jerome's at 19.5 points. I'm trying to see if there's another line available for his points. Okay, so I see 18.5 points actually.
Yeah, let's go 18.5. Yeah, definitely.
I'm fine with that. I'm looking at the last couple games without Garland in the lineup. Has he played any games without Garland and without Mitchell? He has not. So if you take,
at least one of them has played with him.
Yeah, if you keep Mitchell in there and you take out Garland, he has scored at least 20 points in 4 of the last 5 games without Garland playing. So I see a good matchup for him. We'll go with Jerome as well for his points higher for this one. So once again, the 3-pick entry here for Underdog, we're going to go with Jalen Brunson higher, 26.5 points. Anthony Edwards higher, 3.5 made threes. And we'll go with Ty Jerome higher, 18.5 points for the 3-pick Underdog entry. Anyway, short episode, only 5 games to preview. And of course, we are looking forward to the remainder of the regular season. Lonte, anything else you want to add?
Nothing much, man. Good luck. Hopefully we can get done with this week and get on to some real basketball in the playoffs.
Yep, looking forward to the play-in as well, starting next week. But until next time, find me on Twitter, at Reichel Radio. Find him on Twitter at XXLonteXX. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.